I'm just trying to get some views, so I thought I'd do some provocative videos on Calvinism some more. So, if imputed guilt, if you're guilty by birth from Adam's sin, that means babies are depraved and worthy of hell by proxy, by just being born. Now, depending on how you look at election, then, if all people are worthy of hell by the way of sin, and you inherit Adam's sin, you can either go two ways with that. You could say, well, whoever's elect isn't worthy of hell yet. But I don't think most Calvinists would say that. They'd say everybody's worthy of hell. But the elect will be redeemed through faith, by grace through faith. So the question is, are the elect worthy of death at birth if they're not elect? I mean, after all, God put souls into human beings, right? And so if you inherit a nature from Adam, but God's the one putting souls into babies at conception or at birth, or however you look at that, which is ludicrous, by the way. Is the soul that God puts in that human being that's freshly minted guilty by proxy of Adam? Are they born? They're born guilty. Is that soul that God puts in there? Is that like Adam's soul before the fall? Or is it like Adam's soul after the fall? And if God's putting these souls into these people and they're not a product of their parents, because dualism, outrageous dualism is true. How does that work? Is the soul depraved? Does God put mail order depraved souls from heaven to go into that depraved body of it through Adam? Does the soul have to be depraved? Because it's kind of redundant. At any rate, it seems to me, since we speculate about God's knowledge and determinism and free will can't be true, but it's definitely also true that everybody is guilty for Adam. So that means they're born guilty, which means babies are guilty, which means I'm going to postulate that any baby that's aborted, which is worthy of hell, by the way, I mean, God's sovereign. If they were elect babies, he's not going to let them get aborted, obviously, because he's sovereign. And so I suspect every aborted baby is actually just, well, it certainly is God's decree that they're aborted. And it's certainly God's decree that they were born guilty. So I say, burn them all. That proves it's just God did it, man. God did it. I mean, why would he? I mean, obviously, if they were elect, God wouldn't have let them be aborted. And they're guilty anyway, because they're all born guilty. I mean, they're doubly guilty. They got a depraved soul, mail ordered straight from heaven, and they're guilty in their bodies through Adam. And God lets them get aborted by his decree, his divine decree. So obviously, what are we worried about here, people? If God didn't want them aborted, they wouldn't be aborted. I'm not going to lose any sleep over it. And also, babies are actually innocent.